So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for our webinar today. The topic is about how you can earn tax credits for your home care agency, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's new with WOTC. If you don't know what WOTC is, it's a Work Opportunity Tax Credit Program, and we will cover that in just a moment. So before we get started, just a few little housekeeping items I want to cover. So I'm Heather Eichmann, that's me there on the left. We are recording this webinar, so anything that you miss or want to refer back to, we will have a link to the recording that we can send you after the event. We will be doing Q&A today throughout the presentation as best we can. If you look at your little console, there should be a window for questions and answers. You can type your questions in there. We will check those out and we'll answer as many as we can. And then the recording and everything, you've got to give us a day or two, and then we'll get that out to you. So the agenda for today, we'll do introductions in a second. We're going to talk about a little bit of what the Work Opportunity Tax Credit Program is. There are a lot of new things that have happened. You know, it's been approved. There's a new category. There's some deadlines you need to be aware of, so we're going to walk through those. Talk a little bit about how to apply and how any agency can apply to get these tax credits. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how to do this program through ClearCare. It's an integrated kind of automated process, makes it a whole lot easier. And then if we have time at the end, we'll just do some regular Q&A at the end. So here are your panelists for today. You've kind of already met me. I'm Heather, the one on the left, and joining me is Emma Chapman. She's on our customer marketing team here at ClearCare. And we're also joined by a tax credit expert, Sabrina Champagne. She's the Director of Tax Credits and Incentives for our Work Opportunity Tax Credit partner, GIS. Before we go into kind of the main presentation, Sabrina, do you want to talk a little bit about GIS and what you do?
Thank you, Heather, and thank you everyone for joining the call today. Yes, I've been with GIS for 5 years now. We've been in the business for over 50 years, and GIS is a 100% domestically owned company. We are privately held. We have our headquarters in South Carolina as well as a regional office in Dallas, Texas. And we have partnered with ClearCare for the past year to manage both background checks and WOTC credits for agency owners. And I am responsible for managing the team that handles all of the WOTC credits for all of the agencies through the ClearCare partnership.
Awesome. Thank you. So, Work Opportunity Tax Credits, what is it? It is a federal tax credit program. It's available to employers who hire individuals from eligible target groups with significant barriers to employment. Sabrina will kind of describe some of those categories in a minute, but it's basically you get tax credits for hiring certain people, and a lot of caregivers will qualify for this. So Work Opportunity Tax Credits, a lot of people refer to it as WOTC, so I'm going to call it WOTC because it's a lot easier to say. It can reduce your tax rate, and it could even really effectively bring your tax down to, your tax liability down to zero. And just to be clear, these are credits that are for your agency, so it isn't something, a lot of people think that it's something that it's a benefit for the caregiver. It's not a benefit for the caregiver, it's a benefit for your agency. It's a benefit for the caregiver because you're giving them the opportunity to get work. There's no limit to the number of employees you can submit. It's a standard application process, and you can see if any of your new hires qualify. And the credit is based on how many hours are worked and how much that person is paid. So obviously it doesn't apply to only caregivers, but for our purposes, that's kind of the primary target of the topic. So just to get an idea of how much you can save, on average, and this is just research in our space, so home care and healthcare are, well, healthcare is the closest vertical that is tracked, and then obviously what we know on the home care side, but roughly 15 to 20% of caregivers are going to qualify. And the average benefit per eligible hire is anywhere between $1,800 and $2,400. But there are some categories that can earn you more, and the maximum value is $9,600 per eligible hire. So there are some caregivers where you could earn a tax credit just for that one caregiver of $9,600. So just to take an example, say you have 50 caregivers, and then I took the difference of 17.5%. So if you say between 15 and 20 qualify, 17.5%, that means you'd have 9 eligible employees. And if we go on the low end, that the average credit is $1,800, that could be a tax credit for your agency of $16,000. And we have a number of customers that we've been talking to since we launched this program, and there have been some pretty significant savings that some of these agencies have realized. It's really cool. I'm going to hand it over to Sabrina now, because now we're getting more into the program and some of the exciting details that have come to light over the past weeks and months. So Sabrina, I'm going to hand it to you. Just tell me when you want me to advance the slides.
Thanks, Heather. So what's new with WOTC? We could spend literally all day on this, but we'll go ahead and cover just the highlights on what's new. Typically in the past, WOTC has needed renewal by both Congress and the President to sign it into law. And we would see the program renewed and then be in what's called a hiatus period, which is what we saw last year for 2015. So what that means is for the agencies that we started partnering with through ClearCare, we were managing the WOTC program and submitting all the documentation to get the credit for the agency owners, but the state workforce agencies couldn't do anything with that documentation because we're waiting for the program to be renewed by both Congress and the President. They came through and it was renewed, and for the first time ever, we've seen a renewal for 4 years. So this program is absolutely guaranteed to be in the budget and to be certified for anyone hired through December 31st, 2019. So first off, that's a huge win for this program. It also means that there won't be any disruption over the next few years, wondering if this program will be renewed, if it will continue to survive. We know for certain it will. We know exactly how this is supposed to be managed, and the states and the government are all working together to make sure that this is successful, not only for the government to help those individuals that need these jobs, but also to offset the tax burdens for employers like yourself that are providing good paying jobs for these individuals. So one of the benefits of this renewal is also a one-time look back. So typically with this program, all of the documentation needs to be filed with the state within 28 calendar days of hiring an employee. So if you hire a caregiver, everything needs to be submitted and at the state ready to review within 28 calendar days of their hire date. Because the program was in hiatus last year and because it's been inconsistent over the past few years, both the Department of Labor and the IRS have allowed employers an extension of time to file those documents until the end of June this year. So what that means is we will be working with agency owners to look at anyone who still works for your agency but was hired on or after January 1, 2015 to get everybody certified that would qualify for WOTC. So if you've just come on and signed up with GIS to manage your program, let's say just today or last week, we can absolutely look back for anyone hired in 2015, as well as your going forward caregivers. So we're really hoping this is going to be a great benefit for all of the owners. There's also a new WOTC category. In the past, there have been 13 different categories that would qualify a caregiver for WOTC. Many of them are related to a veteran. There are different types of qualified veteran, and I do want to clarify to make sure everyone is aware that hiring a veteran will not automatically qualify them for WOTC. there have to be some extenuating circumstances, such as returning from service with a service-connected disability or having been unemployed for the past 4 weeks. There are various categories that we walk through during that online screening process to properly identify those qualified veterans for WOTC.
Sabrina, we have a question that's related to this topic. A couple of agencies are wondering about caregivers who worked in 2015 and were hired in 2015 but are no longer with their company, and they're wondering if they're still eligible for those credits.
In order for a caregiver to qualify for WOTC, we would need to screen that caregiver. If a caregiver is no longer working for an agency, it's going to be very difficult to ask a caregiver to complete a questionnaire for a prior employer. What we could do is if they come back to work for you now, we could look at their original hire date. In fact, this brings up a great point also. Rehires are not eligible for this WOTC program. So because we're in a very gray situation, we would have to really evaluate this on a case-by-case basis. But in a generalized statement, anybody that worked for an agency in 2015 and is no longer working for the agency now, we would not really pursue having them screened for WOTC at this time.
Okay, that makes sense. Emma, are there any more questions?
Nope.
Okay, yeah, and just one thing. So I know that we didn't walk through what the WOTC categories are. We have a really great handout that we will make available to everyone who is attending today so you can get a better idea of what the qualification categories are. But yeah, we're not doing the deep dive. We have a recorded webinar that we'll send out the links as well to that. So if you want to really kind of get a deeper understanding of the program, because some of the things we're glossing over today. Okay, back to you, Sabrina.
Thank you. And thank you for the great question, whoever is posing that. So what do you need to know? First off, the states are really backlogged with all of the documents that were filed for 2015 hires. You have to think, you have employers all over the country that are hiring thousands, if not millions of employees. This program is available for every single employer. So you can imagine you have very large employers like your Fortune 500 companies that are participating in this, as well as small business owners like yourselves. So the agencies are going through all of the backlog from 2015 while they're continuing to receive additional documentation for current hires. So as a result, the agencies are taking a little bit of time to certify that information. Just another point of clarification, if somebody appears eligible when they originally screened for WOTC, that doesn't automatically qualify them for a WOTC credit. GIS completes the form, send it off to the state, and we require a certificate to be issued from the state in order to truly include that individual on a WOTC calculation report for you. That is a requirement of the program, and we do need the state to certify that truly a caregiver is WOTC certified for you. One of the great points of this, though, is any of the credits that you earn for your caregivers hired in 2015 can be included with the credits for your 2016 hires. So we anticipate seeing the certificates come through towards Q3, Q4 of this year, meaning that agency owners should expect to receive their first credit reports towards the end of the year. And all of those credits can be applied in 2017 when you're filing your 2016 returns. And all of the information can be given to your tax preparer. We do provide you copies of the forms needed to claim the credit, but your CPAs and your tax preparers will absolutely know how to claim this credit. It's very easy to transfer on your federal income tax return. Something else to keep in mind, this credit, although it's not refundable, meaning that if you have excess credit, you won't get a check from from the federal government, but you will get a carry forward. So let's say that you earn $100,000 in WOTC credits, but your tax liability for the year is only $50,000. The difference of $50,000 could be applied to the next year. And that carry forward is available for you for up to 20 years. So you have quite a bit of time, should you have a large credit amount, to utilize this credit going forward. What that also means for you is that if you have a large carry forward, you will not need to pay federal income tax to the IRS out of pocket, because this WOTC program could, like Heather mentioned earlier, it could completely wipe out your entire federal income tax liability, which is our goal. We want that for you.
Yeah, sounds pretty good. Are you ready for me to move forward?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty.
So on this slide, this kind of highlights the various steps of the WOTC program. As I mentioned, there is a 28 calendar day window where the Form 8850 and the WOTC screening needs to be completed in order to have that information submitted to the state. Some of that documentation is sent electronically, some of it is sent via mail. It all depends on the state and how they accept WOTC application information. The states then look at who is truly qualified and they issue certificates. Those certificates come back to GIS. We manage the payroll and hours worked, which is how we will calculate the actual WOTC credit available to you. We do require, this is the program requirement, the caregiver who is certified must work a minimum of 120 hours. That 120-hour benchmark can be any time over the course of 24 months. So if you hire a caregiver, they're certified for WOTC, and they're only working a few hours for you, but then you realize that they're certified, you can schedule their times to make sure that they achieve at least that 120-hour benchmark for you to capture the benefit of the WOTC program. Once they achieve that 120-hour mark, then you're eligible to claim, it's actually 25% of the gross wages paid to that caregiver. And those wages can include regular pay, overtime, sick time, vacation, anything that would be included as a gross salary or gross wage would qualify for this WOTC credit. If you retain caregivers and they work a minimum of 400 hours, then your credit value bumps up from 25% to 40% of the wages. So once they achieve a 400-hour benchmark, you're on a faster track to maximize the credit value depending on which category they qualify for in WOTC. Then again, GIS takes that information, provides you monthly reports, so you're made aware. You can again share this information with your tax preparer, who would modify your quarterly estimated tax payments. And then they would also, at the end of the year, take your total credit amount and apply that when you file your federal income tax return with the IRS.
Awesome. Thank you. Good walkthrough. Okay, so are you still there, Sabrina? Sorry, I got distracted.
You're good.
Can you just walk through the screening process that generally anybody does, but this is the same process that GIS follows as well?
Yes. So it starts off, again, an applicant or a new hire comes in to you, they want to work for you. It's important as the owner and the employer to screen that individual for WOTC. Again, there's a federal Form 8850, and then there are some additional questions that we ask to make sure that we're properly identifying which category of WOTC. The Form 8850 by itself does not provide enough information to properly qualify an individual for the WOTC program. So as a result, we evaluate the answers given by the caregiver as well as the information completed in the 8850 to identify which caregivers are eligible for WOTC. We then prepare the additional documents needed for the state workforce agency and submit that on your behalf so that the state can evaluate and either certify or deny that a caregiver is eligible for this WOTC credit. The state workforce agency then sends that correspondence back to GIS, and we manage that information in your dashboard. And again, we use that with the information provided by ClearCare, which already has the hours worked and the wages paid to have the accurate and complete WOTC calculation on your behalf. We prepare those reports and we send that out to you electronically on a monthly basis once you have received WOTC certificates from the state workforce agencies. Again, at this time, we're still waiting for the certificates to come back for the state, so there's a really long delay in issuing those reports to the agency owners at this time. We do expect at the end of the year to have quite a number of very large credit reports being issued to agency owners. And again, we just email everything out on a monthly basis. We will also provide you with compliance reports. And what a compliance report is a kind of a report card of the health of your program. So we provide you with detailed analysis of the percentage of eligible hires for WOTC. So like Heather had mentioned, the industry average is somewhere between 15 and 20%. We have some agencies that are seeing a 40% eligibility for WOTC. Ending at the state. And you're also able to see how many certificates have been issued.
All right, thanks, Sabrina. This is now that we're in GIS, that kind of turns this process that can be a bit of a headache into something seamless and easy through the platform. Here with our online caregiver application, so this is ClearCare. As a caregiver applicant comes in, he or she fills out basic information interested in working for your agency. And as soon as they finish the basic information, they are taken directly to a WOTC questionnaire. And this is the pre-screen. So this is the questionnaire that we've been mentioning throughout the webinar, which gives us an idea of an instant predetermination of whether or not this individual is eligible for the credit. Here, this is not a step you need to add into your process. So many of you are already using this application, so it's just tacked onto the existing process. It's not an additional form you need to send out. It's all in one. And as soon as an individual fills out the questionnaire, you have that instant predetermination of their eligibility, and that is noted with the green badge on their profile page. So this is a really crucial piece because it gives you an idea right from the applicant or caregiver profile page of whether they have that instant stamp of the predetermination. In the background, GIS is meanwhile submitting this application to the State Workforce Agency to confirm this eligibility for the credit. And if for some reason the state responds back indicating that they are denying this eligibility, that will be reflected on the profile as well. So everything is channeled right back into ClearCare for you to see. And this is really helpful because it can even help you stay informed during your hiring efforts. So this is a snapshot of the applicant section of ClearCare. So we have all of the basic information for each of our applicants. And on the right-hand side, there's a column for WOTC eligibility. And we can see right here that 2 of our lists are instantly marked as eligible for this credit. So you can sort and things like that to keep your hiring efforts informed about this credit. And with the recent updates to the program, you might be wondering, what about your 2015 hires? So in ClearCare, you can run a quick custom caregiver report and filter by hire date. So you'll notice I filtered here by 1st of January 2015 through the end of this month to pull a list of all of the caregivers we hired during this period. And from there, we can just go into each caregiver's profile page and we can go into the employment screening section of their profile and send the questionnaire invitation email. The caregiver then gets an email directly to them instantly with a link to fill out the WOTC questionnaire that we previously looked at as part of the application section. And that is the way we can instantly get that predetermination of their eligibility. And this is also very helpful for anybody that's not using the Caregiver online application. You can come in and send this questionnaire out to any existing applicants who have not filled it out yet, or of course those caregivers from last year that did not fill out the questionnaire. And here's where you can really save the time and hassle. So as you know, the actual tax credit awards are determined based on the payroll information, so hours and wages. And ClearCare takes care of that because we are going to actually send that information over to GIS on a regular basis. So instead of having to fill out reports and forms and get that information over, that's automatically done for you so that GIS has the information they need to determine the actual tax credit awards for your business.
Awesome. Before I hand it back over to Sabrina, just really quickly, I mean, what Emma just walked through is what the whole experience is like if you are a ClearCare customer and you are doing the WOTC program through the platform. You can absolutely do all of this stuff manually on your own. I mean, I think the real value add is just most of it is integrated and automated for you. But Sabrina, you know, some of this, what don't you have to do by working with us on the WOTC program?
Quite a bit, because we love to handle all this stuff. So first off, the key is screening your caregivers. Again, just the 8850 is not going to provide you enough information to determine if a caregiver or an applicant is eligible for WOTC. There are quite a few forms. There's also a certain way that the information needs to be filed with the state. GIS maintains relationships with all 50 states as well as Puerto Rico because we have such a long-standing relationship and have been managing the WOTC program for years. So you don't have to worry about finding out what's the current form, what else do I need to ask, who do I send this to, how do I send it to them, how long is it going to take for them to get back to me, what do I do with the certificate. There's no need for you to worry about any of that because GIS takes on the burden of all of that work. We also provide you updates on the timelines as well as any kind of correspondence that we've received from the state. We do house that information for you for audit support purposes. Again, we provide you clear instruction on how to claim the credit when you file your annual tax return. So you're not spending time researching how to do it or paying a CPA a significant amount of money for their hourly rate for them to research this information for you. We also handle all of the details, any supporting documentation that the state might need. We work with the state to make sure that they have all the information needed to certify a caregiver. And then also we track, again, all the hours and the wages to generate the credit for you. You don't have to worry about manually tracking hours or wages. All of this is done through a very secure portal with ClearCare through our partnership and integration, so that it removes all of that burden for you as the owners to manage your company with your caregivers, with your clients. This takes away a huge amount of time and potential for error from an administrative perspective for your company.
Awesome. So yeah, I kind of touched on this earlier. So the cost of service, you know, you can do all of this manually. You can use a CPA. You can have someone in your office responsible for participating in the program. It takes a lot of time and effort. You have to keep track of everything. submit everything yourself, make sure your caregivers are filling out the forms, follow up with the states, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or you can follow the process that Emma outlined, and it is, the fee for that is 20% of your awarded credits. So you don't have to pay unless you earn credits. The amount is based on the credits earned, so it's completely performance-based. There are no fees upfront. So if you're interested in getting more information or getting started, there's a whole bunch of things here. I have put this slide deck into a PDF that we can send out, so you don't have to write these down unless you want to. There's more information on work opportunity tax credits through ClearCare on our website at clearcareonline.com/tax credits. As I mentioned earlier in the webinar, there is a deeper dive into WOTC, and we spend a little more time describing the categories, really kind of digging into some of the steps and some of the advantages and ways that you can do things. The tool that I mentioned earlier about those categories, so we have just a little handout that describes the different categories, and you can download that from our website. And then just more information on the look-back period and on these deadlines. We have a blog post that covers a lot of this stuff, and you can download some of these materials from there. So that's just clearcareonline.com/blog. If you are an existing ClearCare customer and are interested in getting started, just stick around to the end of the webinar and fill out our survey. Just let us know you're interested, and our account management team will follow up with you and just walk you through the process. It's a simple application form that also requires a power of attorney to allow GIS to submit tax paperwork on your behalf. I have noticed that a lot of people have questions about what this power of attorney is actually doing, and that's all it is you're allowing GIS to submit tax forms on your behalf. I think that's it. We have, if you do have, so there's a lot of questions. We have so many questions in the queue, and I know that we're not going to be able to get to all of these, and some of them are extremely detailed. So we'll follow up with you individually. If you do have kind of technical questions that you have not posted to us on this webinar, you can send your questions to clearcaretax@geninfo.com, and the team of GIS, the GIS team who works with ClearCare can respond to those, and Sabrina, that includes you. But just stick around and take our survey at the end, and we will definitely get you some more information. Emma, I'm going to turn it to you so you can ask Sabrina some of these questions that have come in.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will follow up with most of you individually about these questions, but we do have one or two that are very general. So Sabrina, a question about the hours worked minimum and maximum, so the 120 and the 400. Is the 120 hours, is that a per month or per year? And then is the 400 hours a one-time target, or is that something that needs to be met yearly? Do they have a maximum on a yearly basis?
So the program, the certificate is good for 2 years, meaning that you have 2 years to maximize the credit amount based on the WOTC category. So we look at a cumulative time of 24 months based on the start date of the caregiver. So that 120-hour benchmark begins, that 0 hours starts when you hire that caregiver, and that 120 hours can be achieved at any time during their time of employment with you. It is not a per month, it's not a per quarter, it's just a one-time. Once they achieve that 120-hour benchmark, then they become WOTC eligible if they are certified by the state. Then, from the hours of 120 to 399, you will be generating credit equal to 25% of the gross wages paid to that WOTC certified caregiver. And again, you have the course of 24 months to achieve this timeline. At the 400-hour benchmark, let's say it takes 6 months for the caregiver to work 400 hours for you. Then what happens is the WOTC benefit jumps from 25% to 40%. And that goes back to hour 1. So what ends up happening is we actually recalculate the credit amount for all of those hours worked from 0 to $3.99, and then they continue generating credit up until the maximum credit amount. There's no maximum credit hours. It's just the credit amount based on the wages. So you achieve that maximum credit of value quicker when you are earning 40% of wages versus earning just the 25% of gross wages.
So we want people to work 400 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a huge jump. Are there any?
Yeah, the follow-up to this is actually related, but we have another question about once an individual is certified with this eligibility and they have a situation that changes, for example, financially, if something changes and improves, I believe the answer is 2 years, but how long does that credit certification last for them?
As long as they are certified, the first time, and it's dependent upon when you hire that individual, then they are certified for 2 full years for you as the agency owner. So the goal of the program and the spirit of why this program exists today is that the government wants these individuals to improve. They want them to no longer receive food stamps or benefits from the government. So if at the time that they were hired, they were receiving some kind of benefit from the government, but then while they're working for you, they are no longer receiving these benefits, then that's a direct result because you've provided them a great job. You've provided them an opportunity to get off of the government assistance. As a result, you as the employer get the benefit of earning credit to reduce your federal income tax liability because the government recognizes and rewards employers who provides opportunities for these individuals who may no longer need assistance or who have just returned from service and have been unemployed for a few weeks. It's actually less cumbersome and a financial benefit to the federal government to provide you a tax credit versus providing assistance to that individual. So everybody wins.
Any others?
No, once again, we will follow up with each of you. We do have quite a few questions in here, but most of these are better off for a one-on-one conversation, so let's save these for follow-up.
Yeah, and some of the questions that are coming in, it's not clear to us whether you're a ClearCare customer or not, so that would change our answer on how we address some of these. But like I said, so I'll back up right here. If you want to get more detailed information about the Work Opportunity Tax Credit Program, definitely check out this deeper dive into WOTC, this tax credit webinar archive, because Sabrina goes into a lot more detail about the categories and the process and how to participate. And if you haven't already, talk to us about how to get signed up for WOTC, and if you're not already using ClearCare for this service, go check out the blog. The resources that you need to do this on your own are there, but due to these timelines and everything, we hope that you are encouraged to pursue this and pursue a relationship with us soon. Thanks again. Sabrina, thank you so much for spending the time with us. We really appreciate it. And to everyone who's on the line, I know that there's a lot of things you could do with your time, and we're really happy that you chose to spend it with us. And we look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.